Well, more on this now with our social media commentator, Kevin Poulter. Kevin, do you think this is a mass hack attack on the Apple's iCloud?
I suspect not. I think that this is probably luck or a long-time plan to gather these photos together. I think that it's been linked to Apple, and I think that's probably unfair at this stage for an incident that happened towards the end of last week and over the weekend regarding the Find Your iPhone. And there was an opportunity there, rather than the application closing down after a number of password tries and failed attempts, you could just keep trying. And of course, we all know that there are phishing emails. There are other ways of quite easily hacking into accounts if you simply know an email address or a username, and just trying the obvious passwords, the 1, 2, 3, 4s, pet names. So really, there's a responsibility on all of us to take more care to protect our passwords, and I suspect that this is possibly a combination of the two of those things.
Well, of course, if you know there's that security question, what's your favourite pet? Now, obviously, someone who's a celebrity, it's much easier to identify whose pet, what their pet name is, rather than an individual.
Or even a maiden name, mother's maiden name, frequent one as well. And it's sometimes easier with these celebrities who are easily targeted to get to that information a little bit easier.
And so what's your advice then? I mean, would you personally, have, you know, hypothetically speaking, explicit pictures on your iCloud or not?
Well, I suppose this is the issue. And I think some of these pictures are meant to have gone back a long time, which and I think the iCloud deletes these photos from the cloud after 30 days, which means that it's either somebody who's been spending a long time collecting these photos over perhaps a number of years, or somebody who's just happened to be lucky, stumbling across them, or persistently trying passwords and getting through them. But
that is, of course, assuming that it was from the iCloud. And Time Magazine Online have actually sort of done a retrack, if you like, and said that they can't confirm at this stage where it's come from.
That's right. There are any number of applications, Android phones, Google accounts, whatever it might be. But the starting point is, if you're a celebrity particularly, but there is no expectation anymore, unfortunately, of privacy. And to be in a position where you are putting these photos either on the cloud, intentionally or otherwise, or just sharing them between friends or even family members, then there's a risk that these things are going to get out there. And it's
where does Apple sit in regards to liability here when we're talking about data protection? Because, of course, the cloud, if you like, or online storing or hosting is sort of the new frontier for technology.
That's right. And I suspect that Apple's, I can't confirm this, but I suspect their terms and conditions are quite tight in protecting them. A bigger issue occurs if it's for other organisations, other businesses who are taking other people's data and looking after that, storing it somewhere, potentially storing it on the cloud, and then there's a breach, and then there's a leak. And that's potentially a huge issue for businesses, for any organisation, including media organisations, who store this information, who have a huge database, perhaps of photographs, which perhaps shouldn't be, should be private, and of course confidential.
I'll certainly be sharing that with our data management people.
Well, there's huge fines involved if you get it wrong.
But another question, of course, we get you to talk about social media a lot, and that's one thing that I spoke about there in the package, was how this so rapidly spread and was able to go everywhere.
That's right. It's really out of control, and the photographs and the images have been taken down now from the original site. Screenshots have been taken, and we see this again with things like Snapchat, WhatsApp, where images can be collected immediately and then disseminated throughout the world in a second. And once they're out there, they're really out of control. And
on that note, the spokesman for Jennifer Lawrence, they've said, we will, prosecute those who are sharing those images. How feasible is it for you to prosecute, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are sharing these images now?
It's difficult. Of course it's difficult. And it's really not for Jennifer Lawrence to do the prosecution. It's for the FBI, or it's for any other police force throughout the world to do that and to take control of it. What they can do, though, is to bring civil claims. And these civil claims for breach of privacy, for potentially, and that's where the prosecution comes in, for theft. That's a bigger issue, and I suspect that there's only one person that's stolen these images, if indeed that's what's happened, and we can't for sure. There's only one person that's responsible for that, probably. Who's disseminating that information and sending it on and sharing it. So there is a risk there, and we've seen this risk in this country particularly with retweets, particularly for Sally Berkowitz, for example, retweets that have gone around, and there's been a libel case, a defamation case there, which has been perpetuated as well. So there's a civil claim, there's potentially a criminal case there as well. We'll have to wait and see, but really, even if you're viewing these images, you're probably doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Kevin Poulter, thank you very much. It's now time for us to go back to Heather at the desk.